Hi, this is Christian, and welcome back to NFL Updates Express, your weekly dose of NFL news. Coming your way, Week 17 predictions. Win or go home. It's the Indianapolis Colts traveling to Nissan Stadium to take on the Tennessee Titans. Now for the Colts, what a second half of the year it's been. They've won 8 out of their last 9 games. And after starting 1-5, it's been a revelation for Andrew Luck and the Indianapolis Colts. T.Y. Hilton has been on a tear lately. Against the Giants, he had 138 yards on 7 receptions, and then 2 weeks prior to that, he had nearly 200 yards receiving, 9 receptions for 199 yards to keep their season alive against the Houston Texans on the road. Now, for the Tennessee Titans, they've won their last 4 games, and they've looked very impressive, especially their ground game. Now, Mariota has been dinged up, but Derrick Henry has been able to carry the load. Against the Redskins, he only had 84 yards rushing, but he did get a touchdown. But then the last 2 weeks prior to the Redskins game, he had 170 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Giants, and then we can't forget about his 17 rush game for 238 yards and 4 touchdowns against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That was truly an amazing game to see. Now, for both teams to win, well, the Titans, we've already mentioned it, they have to run the football. Mariota, he can pass the football, get it through the air, but he's been dinged up, as I've mentioned. And so, if the Colts can shut down Tennessee's run game, it's going to be a long day at Nissan Stadium. But if they can run the football effectively, convert third downs, then this game will be very competitive. Now, for the Colts, well, they're going to have to pass the ball with Andrew Luck. Their running game has shown flashes with Marlon Mack in the backfield, and Nyheim Hines have had some nice moments as well. But ultimately, it's going to be up to the MVP candidate. Now, I know he's probably not going to win MVP because of Mahomes and Breeze, but still, I think Luck has played about as good as anyone could have hoped he has following his shoulder surgery in the offseason and recovery all of last season. And so, who will win this game? Well, Andrew Luck is 10-0 against the Titans in his career, so Tennessee and Mike Rabel's squad will have to do something that the Tennessee franchise has never done, beaten Andrew Luck. And so, it's tough because the Titans are at home, and usually in the win or go home situations, the home team is usually able to get their crowd into it and win the game, but I don't know. I just think the Colts have been on too much of a tear, and the Titans have been very inconsistent. And also, the last matchup, the Titans got blown out by the Colts. Now, it was in Indianapolis, but still, that's a huge margin to cover. Now, I do think it will be very close, but ultimately, I think I'm going to take the Indianapolis Colts to clinch the 6th seed in the AFC. In the next AFC matchup, it's the Cleveland Browns taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Now, is this quite a deja vu moment for the Ravens? Last year, all they had to do is win against a division opponent that wasn't going to make the playoffs. And what was the result? An L. Could it be deja vu again, or will the Ravens avenge 2017's disappointment and bounce back into the playoffs? Now, if the Ravens do manage to get into the playoffs, they'll be one of the league's hottest teams and one of the league's dangerous teams. They have a dynamic defense that can make any offense pay, and Lamar Jackson, a dual threat quarterback, and even though his passing hasn't been quite up to par, his running can be a headache for any opposing defense. Now the Browns, this season has been amazing for them. Now you would say, oh, they don't even have a winning record right now, but considering they won 0 games, a donut last year, this season has been amazing, and mark my words, next season they will be right in the thick of things for the playoffs once again. Now, who will win this game? Well, Baker Mayfield, I would be shaking in my boots if I was a Ravens fan. Of course, their defense is going to be good, but ultimately, can their offense produce enough points? The Ravens have been inconsistent, and they are playing at home like they were last year in Week 17, but it just gives me shades of last year. I don't know why I keep thinking that. But the Ravens will be motivated. What happened last year, that all they had to do is make a 4th down stop until Tyler Boyd ran in the end zone and ending their season, sending the Bills to the playoffs. Now, the other motivation is that if the Ravens lose, chances are the Pittsburgh Steelers, their hated division rival, will get into the postseason and win the AFC North division. And so the Ravens certainly don't want to see that happen. So who will win this game? Well, the Browns have been playing well. It will be a competitive game all throughout. But when it's all said and done, the Ravens will avenge last year's tough defeat and get back into the postseason for the first time since 2014. It's a battle in the NFC North Division as the Chicago Bears take on the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I love how the NFL does this in Week 17. Not only is it all divisional games, but the games that have the most importance in terms of seeding or playoff matchups with wild cards in play, they put them at the 425 slot. Now, what's interesting about this for the Bears is that, let's say the Rams versus Cardinals or 49ers game was actually at the 1 o'clock position, and then let's say the Rams won, the Bears would have nothing to play for. But since that time is coinciding with this game, then the Bears actually have to play for something, because if the Rams find a way to lose to the 49ers, then that means the Bears, with a win here against the Vikings, would get a first round bye and they get to rest their players on Wild Card Weekend. And that makes life tough on the Minnesota Vikings because they need a win to most likely stay in the playoff chase, with the Eagles playing the Redskins and they're beat up. But there's still hope for the Vikings. The Bears dominated them in primetime Sunday Night Football last time around, but they're playing at home, and who knows, the Vikings have been much improved since then. Kirk Cousins is really going to have to step up his A game against Khalil Mack and this vaunted Bears defense that has caused havoc for offenses all season long. Now, it's going to be a tough game. I'm not really sure. I think Dalvin Cook is going to have to be a big factor for the Minnesota Vikings. He can catch it out of the backfield and also create some big runs as well. Of course, Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, but we talk about them all the time. If the Vikings can't establish the run game and become one-dimensional, it's going to be a long day. Now, who will win this game? I mean, most people are going to say the Vikings in a must-win situation, but I'm not sure. I just think the Bears have been the better team all season long, and assuming their offense is able to produce enough points, I'm taking the Chicago Bears to get the job done on the road. In the last spotlight game of the week, it's the Philadelphia Eagles traveling to FedEx Field to take on the Washington Redskins. Now, the Redskins, I've actually been impressed with them. They're 7-8, but considering all the injuries they've had and still have a chance to go 500 this season, that is extremely impressive. Josh Johnson, he's their 4th-string quarterback, and I mean, he's carrying about as much as he can. He had to learn his teammates on Madden just to know who they were, and he's been doing a pretty decent job keeping them afloat. Now, for the Eagles, their backup quarterback, we already know, Nick Foles. And it's just something special when Nick Foles steps into the spotlight in December due to a Carson Wentz injury. Will we see another deja vu moment and the Eagles propel themselves to another Super Bowl? Now, they won't have the number 1 seed and home field advantage, but if they can just get into the playoffs, who knows, the defending champs might get their groove back in a season riddled with inconsistency, injuries, and a bunch of other things. But at the end of the day, the Redskins have played tough, but the Eagles need this win to keep any hopes of the postseason alive. And with that said, I'm taking Nick Foles, jolly old Saint Nick, to lead the Eagles to victory.
We've been down for too long to give up. Can't go, I need all pesos, want it all. Case closed, I go balls to the wall, can't hold to the ball game over. These boys can't hold me, you boys can't hold us. I told you, better not be the one to doubt us. Cause we've been putting in the hours. We only taking what was ours. So you better not be the one to doubt us. Cause we gon' blow your mind. We gon' blow your mind. We gon' blow your mind. When I was back home washing them dishes, I was just wishing I could just vision. I was gon' get it, I was on missions, I was just living. Walked in that building, we was just building, taking our time. We was just yielding, we was just chilling. Away from these haters, know they be watching like a theater. Yeah. Plotting these niggas that we need later. They gon' degrade us, it won't delay us. This is what made us. We got Omega, probably roll Vega. Probably just leave. I see you later. I salute Wega, cop a new crib, got some new neighbors. You get this big, they gon' want favors, they gon' want flavors. Probably roll paper. Hope the Lord save us, wait from these haters. Hope the Lord save us, wait from these snakes, wait from these fakes. Wait, I need breaks, wait, I need cake. How long can we wait? Come on, better not be the one to doubt us.
The player of the week is Super Bowl 52 MVP, Nick Foles. Now, Nick Foles, thrusted into the spotlight once again late in the season, has been spectacular. Against the Rams and now against the Texans, he went off for 471 yards passing and 4 touchdowns to keep the Eagles season alive. Can he win in Washington and sneak into the playoffs once again? We'll just find out and see. There are plenty of playoff scenarios in terms of seeding, but let's check out the games that actually matter. Now, we already know about the Colts-Titans win-or-go-home situation that I've already discussed, but how about the Steelers? How can they get into the playoffs? Well, it's simple. The Steelers have to win and then hope that the Ravens lose to the Baker Mayfield-led Browns. Anything else, and the Steelers are out of the playoffs. As for the NFC, well, here we go. It's simple for the Eagles. They have to win and then hope that the Vikings lose to the Bears. If the Vikings win, they're in and the Eagles are out. For the Week 16 recap, let's check out the scores. It was the Titans over the Redskins 25-16 on Saturday Night Football. Then the Ravens upset the Chargers 22-10. The Cowboys win the NFC East Division over the Buccaneers 27-20. The Vikings beat the Lions 27-9. Falcons over the Panthers 24-10. Eagles big time win to keep their postseason hopes alive over the Texans 32-30. The Colts over the Giants 28-27. The Browns over the Bengals 26-18. The Patriots over the Bills 24-12. The Packers thrilling overtime finish over the Jets 44-38. The Jaguars over the Dolphins 17-7. The Bears over the 49ers 14-9. The Rams over the Cardinals 31-9. The Saints last-minute win over the Steelers, 31-28. The Seahawks upset win over the Chiefs, 38-31. And the Raiders Christmas Eve win over the Broncos, 27-14. The most entertaining game of the week was the Packers over the Jets. And the upset of the week was the Ravens over the Chargers. My record prediction for Week 16 was 12-4. And my record prediction for the entire year is 148, 90, and 2.